your assets in a certain, like, it'll protect your assets for your loved ones, and it can keep them from creditors, protect them from divorce and situations like that. But if you're older and you end up in a nursing home, it won't protect your home from Mass Health or your assets from Mass Health. Because the way the government sees it is, in a revocable trust, you still have control of your assets because you can change the trust whenever you want. In an irrevocable trust, they see it as you're relinquishing control of your assets. You no longer have control, and you can't change it because it's irrevocable. And the other thing is, with the irrevocable trust, either way, there's still the 5-year look-back period.
Yeah, they haven't changed that because they were looking at, I think it was when my uncle passed in 2012, they were looking at 7 years. So they kept the 5, which was good.
It was good, yeah, because years ago, it was 3 years. Like, maybe before I started practicing, I remember it was once 3 years.
It was way before he passed away.
Yeah.
So we wanted, and it was interesting because there were some things that we did change with regard to his assets. And when he had to go on Mass Health, we were 1 month over that 5-year look back, so that they didn't say, oh, you can't do this.
Right.
But there were some interesting things that occurred, because not everybody has a large portfolio. Some people only have their house as their asset.
Right.
One of the things that we did, I don't know if people still do this, I don't remember all the technical terms, but what we did with him was we had it so that when he died, there was no longer any interest in his real estate. So the deeds read a certain way, and when he passed, even though Mass Health put a lien on the property, they couldn't collect anything because it was as if he never was there. So it wasn't tenants in common, it was some of the,
Was it a life estate deed?
I don't remember. But whatever it was, we did that with my mother. My mother's still living, she's 104.
Right.
But we did sell the house. But when we sold the house, because we're on the deed, and it went back more than 5 years, now we have 3 people, and her money went into her account. We didn't take it.
Okay.
And we haven't used her money for anything either, because we didn't know what was going to happen. So at some point, she will go on Mass Health, because you only have so much money.
Right.
And now, do you do Mass Health applications?
Sandra, you want water, or you good?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. I do help with Mass Health applications.
Do you have any cues on what you can do, what you can't do? Do you wait until you have like no money left? Do you do it as soon as you can when
Well-
somebody goes into a nursing home?
Well, the thing with the Mass Health applications, you also always want to write on there that you plan on
Take all of it.
returning home. That's your goal, that you're going in, but your goal is to return home. And then usually what happens is, if you do go to a nursing home, you'll have to pay the nursing.
This is a very important part of the show.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So I'll do this. So Ab, what do we got here today?
You have a pumpkin bread with a cheesecake swirl in it, walnuts, and dried cranberries.
Oh, so you like to bake?
Oh, yeah.
She's a wonderful baker. Thank you. Let's continue.
We can talk about that in a minute if you really want to.
Okay, we
One of my
will.
favorite things to do. Okay, so I had asked you about the
Oh, the Mass Health application,
Mass Health, yes, different questions about that, I'm curious.
So you want to put there that you want to return home. So sometimes people end up in it's a nursing home where they're trying to rehab for 3 months, and then what happens after the 3 months is your insurance won't pay anymore. So if you do have to end up in a nursing home full-time, you're going to have to pay down your assets. And then when your assets are all gone, that's when Mass Health's going to kick in. And you can only have $2,500 in your bank account. That's the limit if you want Mass Health to start paying.
So when do you contact somebody to make that application? Do you wait until you have the 2,000, or do you wait until you have like a month left of money, or how long does it take for Mass Health to kick in? I mean, there's got to be deadlines. I mean, there must be a lot of people that's doing it.
Right. I wouldn't wait. I think you should fill it out as soon as possible. If you know that you're going to remain in a nursing home and you're already going into rehab, then you should fill it out as soon as possible. Because I think once the 3 months start to end, they do start to push you to fill out the application and get it submitted.
So if you have like a month's worth of money left that you're going to have to pay to the nursing home, then you should probably start at that point. Is that correct?
Correct,
That's what you're
yes.
recommending?
Yeah, that's what I would recommend. Because I think at that point, they stop pushing you to complete the application anyway, because they want to know what you're going to do, how you're going to pay for it.
Well, the business manager or whoever it is at the nursing home should be alerted to the fact that she's going to run out of money.
Yes, exactly.
And then sometimes the nursing homes have people that do that process, and sometimes there's, people like you that do that process. I know that one of our lawyers would do that process, but I know that when I contacted that individual, it was interesting, it was probably a year ago, and I said, well, what is your fee? And the number reflected 10% of what was left in the bank account. Now, is that how you assign fees, is what's left in the bank account, or is there just a base? Because I know sometimes it's like so much per hour that lawyers will charge, or if you're going to do estate planning, it's like $5,000 to $7,000. It just depends on how much work you have to do.
Right.
And you kind of tell your client that up front. So if in applying for Mass Health, how do you calculate how much you charge?
I tend to charge flat fees for that stuff, and for trusts and wills, I charge a flat fee. I usually do a range, it depends what type of asset protection they want, what type of trust, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's pretty much standard.
Right.
That people do, but it's interesting to know the ins and outs, because there's a lot of people that watch the program that's in my age bracket. We've already gone through a process. We did that a while ago, to make sure that things are in trust, or that we have the realty trust, and
Right.
and make sure that all the bank accounts are trust, because that way then it's easier if something should happen to the two of us at
Right.
the same time.
Well, let me ask Sandra this question, okay? I don't want to know your fee. What can one expect to pay?
You can give
if
a range.
They're putting their mother, their dad, they gotta go to a nursing home. It's a very sad time for the family. What can they expect to pay an attorney? Because I just want the audience to know that the price of you being ripped off, or what would a family expect to pay normally? I don't want your fee, I just want what you think is the average.
Okay, if they want to set up a trust plan, it usually ranges between between 4,000 to 7,000, depending. What type of trust, what type of protection, and all that stuff. And then for a Mass Health application, I would say between 1,000, 1,500. I guess depending how much work is involved and how much the client wants you to do and stuff like that.
So $1,500 to do the Mass Health thing, and you're talking 7 to 10 grand, depending upon how complex the trust might be.
Yeah.
If you want to, so is that an irrevocable trust or a trust?
I think the irrevocable trusts tend to be a little more because it's more involved, there's more types of asset protection and stuff like
So
that.
a little more is how much?
Like between 1,000 to 2,000 more. But it would be in the price range, but about 1,000 to 2,000 more.
So you're talking about
Around 2,000 more.
$1,700 is the ceiling.
No, 1,700 is the Mass Save potential ceiling.
17,000?
No, 1,700, 1,700. So if you do the trust documents, it ranges from 5 to 7.
Right.
So if you just have something regular, it could be 5, but if you have the
So under
irrevocable, it
10,000
would
for
be.
irrevocable?
Yeah, it would be under 10,000, yes, definitely.
So if you go to an attorney and the person tells you it's 25,000, you go, ooh, I
Oh,
want
yeah,
to.
that would be really,
Yeah,
Because you don't know. Thank you.
but you also don't know when you're giving out that kind of number, what assets somebody has.
right, exactly.
And I know that in the family, in our situation, pretty much there aren't any. Because at 104, you pretty much have deadlines to get rid of stuff, so.
Right.
And that, but in my age bracket, it's not exactly the same. So it would be, it's more work in terms of the Mass Health piece.
Right.
And also, in the 5-year look back, can you send PDFs to the lawyer or to Mass Health, or, the application looked like, when I looked at it online, it looked like it was exactly the same one that my mother and I filled out for my uncle in I think it was 2010, something like that, 2011.
I don't think the application has really changed much.
No, it looked like it was the
Right.
same. And then you have 5 years of all of your finances.
Right.
And then if you have a lawyer, they walk you through what they need.
Correct.
Because we used a legal secretary, even though it was the lawyer that oversaw everything. But that was also, I mean, we're talking quite a ways back here.
Right.
More than a decade. But I didn't know if things had changed at that point as far as Mass Health goes. Can they attach, so they could,
Who's the they?
the
Mass Health.
Mass Health. So anything I say they currently is Mass Health. So they can put a lien on a house for an X amount of dollars upon the demise of the client. All right, and so if you go to sell the house, you have to pay them first of that, unless you set that up differently.
Correct.
Okay, so if the house is in a trust and one person dies, do they still attach the trust?
No, if it's a couple and one person dies, so the person remaining in the home has the right to about, I think it's a little over 100,000 now, and the right to remain in the home and keep the home. So if they're both living in the home, one of them ends up in a nursing home, they pass, the other spouse has the right to stay in the house, keep 100,000 in the bank if they have it, and,
So basically, if you have a lot of money, you spend it down so that the person that's left, that's not in the nursing home, only has 100,000?
yeah, it's a little over 100,000 because it's increased a little, but it's, yeah, you just spend it down, make sure that the other person only has that left.
That's not very much money.
No, it's not, especially in today's economy, it's nothing.
It'd be interesting to do some revisions on that for the person that's left. And then with the person that's left, then they own the house, but do they have to then pay?
They wouldn't have to pay Mass Health because they have a right to stay in the home.
Right, but if they sell it and move, do they have to pay, is the lien still stay on that house? Did they have to pay?
I believe no.
Okay, I'm just,
Yeah.
So,
This is not
Sandra, would it be a
totally-
good advice to people, when you turn 65, you should start to
Yeah,
do
you
this
should
stuff?
start thinking about
You
it.
should have something in place by age 70.
Yes.
And if you don't, it's Russian roulette with your bank account.
Yeah, even a little younger. I mean, it's a hard decision for people sometimes because they don't like to relinquish control of their assets. Even though it's a son or daughter being trustee, it's a big decision.
you gotta be careful.
Well, don't you have a trust that can become irrevocable if I become incapacitated?
Well, you can make a trust become irrevocable. It usually becomes irrevocable upon death because then everything has to be distributed or either it gets distributed either to separate trusts for your kids or to your kids directly, depending how you want to set it up.
So the 5-year look back, that's, even if your trust turned irrevocable, they have the 5-year look back.
Yeah, even with an irrevocable trust, you have the 5-year look back.
So if your trust turns irrevocable because one of the elastic bands broke in your brain and you're incapacitated,
No, it would,
the
you would
government
have,
can still go and grab your stuff.
right, but it would be revocable unless you set up an irrevocable trust. Then upon your death, it becomes irrevocable because
You're dead.
you're dead, yes. So if you had an
You have no control.
irrevocable trust, it would become, no, a revocable, it would become irrevocable upon your death. The other thing is durable powers of attorney. So the durable power of attorney covers all financial matters, and that would be, if you're alive and become incapacitated, that would kick in, and then someone would make all your, be able to take care of all your finances. And then the healthcare proxy and the living will is similar, like health decisions. If you become incapacitated, everybody can make your healthcare, give someone the power to make your healthcare decisions.
So please define incapacitated.
Incapacitated would be based on a doctor's opinion that you cannot make your own decisions.
Is that printed in each of those documents?
The definition of incapacitated,
What the conditions under which it would be implemented? It
Yeah.
would go into effect?
yeah, it would be you're incapacitated, cannot make your own healthcare decisions. For you not to be able to make your own healthcare decisions, you'd really have to be under, not be able to talk or be able to make your decision yourself. In the healthcare proxy, there's also the do not resuscitate clause, the DNR, if that's something you want included. But then again, there's language in there saying that it's really up to the doctor would have to advise your healthcare proxy. There's no way, in order for them to make that decision. It wouldn't really just leave it up to them to say yes or no.
So even though I would sign a DNR, if I have a massive stroke, I can't speak for myself, they would contact my health proxy to say, this is what we're going to do, even though I signed something to say this is what I wanted?
Not really, because if you sign the DNR, so in order for them to decide on the DNR, the doctor would have to say, there's no way.
No, I understand that
You know what I
part.
mean? Because if there's a way and you get a stroke, there's a way that you can rehabilitate, that's a little different.
Right. It also is depend upon age bracket, and it could depend upon the people that are involved and what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So with Mass Health, you have a 5-year look back, and you have all of your financial records.
Yes.
So that would be like checking accounts, saving accounts, stock portfolios, bonds, anything along those lines.
Right.
And then
If
if you,
you have a house, you'd submit your house deed, or if you own any property within the last 5 years.
yes, any
Yeah.
of the real estate assets.
Yes, correct.
Okay. If you have life insurance, does Mass Health get your life insurance? I mean, there's different kinds of life insurance. There's term, whole life, and then there's something that it does have for disability. I mean, there's different kinds of things of policies that you could have.
There is.
So does Mass Health attach the life insurance policies? Or
Depends
get
on
them?
but the life insurance policy, like, we have a lot of city employees watch the show. The city has a life insurance policy on you. It's not your asset, you don't own it. And that's one of the biggest obstacles we have with people going into a nursing home that used to work for the city. They say, well, I have a life insurance policy. No, you don't. The city insures you. Life insurance policy is 3 things. Actually 4, it's a piece of paper. The piece of paper says who owns it, who's the beneficiary. And those are the 2 most important, who's the owner and who's the beneficiary. So you could be if you work, if your company, if you work for Raytheon, they give you life insurance, or whatever company you work for, they give you life insurance. You don't own that policy. So don't list it as an asset. Because now as soon as you list it, Mass Health, for the lack of a better word, is a pain in the butt. As soon as you put it down, now they're going to want a letter from your company saying that they own the policy and you don't. It's like dealing with the backside of sticky paper. Be careful what you put down in your application. So that's why I think you need an attorney to help you, and Sandra's kind enough to come in and visit us once in a while. I think you need the expertise of a good attorney to help you stay away from making a mistake like that. Back over to you guys, thanks.
Well, I understand certain amounts of those life insurance policies. As soon as you no longer work for the company, you no longer have the life insurance policy.
City of Lowell's different.
Municipal is different, but most of the people you deal with, or at
Most
least I deal
companies,
with,
your
are
union will
private.
make sure your company keeps paying for your policy.
After you leave the company, the union continues your life insurance policy?
Ev, you and I will argue about this next week, not today.
But I'm talking about private. I take out a life insurance policy with MetLife.
The wise thing to do is, when you take out a life insurance policy, you make your husband the owner of your policy. You don't own the policy. And he makes you the owner of his policy.
I looked it up online with Mass Health. There's some discrepancy. That's the only reason I'm asking you the question, is what it was that there was a discrepancy with the fact that you would assume that if you have a private life insurance policy, okay, the beneficiary will get it. If you're in a nursing home and you apply for Mass Health, it said that there's a possibility, depending upon the value of the life insurance policy, that either they will take it or put a lien on it, or the nursing home gets whatever the life insurance policy to make up the difference in the money that they're not getting, because Mass Health does not pay the nursing home what the private costs are. Do you know anything about that part?
I'd have to look into it a little further. I
Yeah.
mean, it really depends on the type of life insurance and when it vests and all that stuff, and the beneficiary. And then there's the other thing, people can get long-term care if they apply for it. Long-term care is a different type of insurance, and if they apply for it early enough, they can use that to pay for the nursing home, and then it's not an issue with Mass Health kicking in. But a lot of people, a lot of people that I encounter haven't applied, don't have long-term care.
No, because people, insurance is, you bet it's not going to happen, versus
know.
betting it will happen. Because when you have insurance, it's not, because if you don't have a mortgage, you don't have to have insurance on your house. But you're betting something's going to happen, so you,
Right.
the wise choice is to have the insurance. It's not like car insurance in Massachusetts, you have to have it.
Right.
So John had, excuse me, John had said that one of the things you wanted to talk about, I mean, it is August. That's what I'm going to ask her now, okay? Because it is August, your kids are going to go off to college if they don't live at home. Mine lived at home.
Which is
and-
always good, and I encourage my kids to do as well.
Yeah, it costs a lot less money.
Yes.
So I had two that did, one that didn't. So there is a big difference in the cost that you incur as a parent. But there are forms that you should have them fill out, which we didn't do. So I'm interested to know why this is recommended and what they are. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I think now some colleges ask for it, it depends. It would be a durable power of attorney and a healthcare process, because your child's 18, so you really no longer have control of making the decisions or anything like that. So if they end up in a hospital, if you don't have a healthcare proxy or something to ask questions, they might not give you the information. And then if something were to happen to them, then you can't take care of their finances and make sure everything is in order either. But the durable power of attorney, you wanted to cover more things, more college-specific, I think. And then the healthcare proxy would be similar to a living will, in that way you could be able to get any healthcare information you need to in regards to your kid. Like if your child is sick, you want to be able to call the hospital or the doctor and see what's going on, especially if your child is far away or out of state and you can't get to them quickly.
Does some of that depend, if you don't have it?
Right.
Does some of it depend upon whatever the state statutes are? Because I don't recall, because I have to go back in time with my three. I never had any doctor, regardless of their age bracket, well, not recently, obviously, because they're in their 40s, because I'm not asking doctors what their health is. But they never seemed to hesitate to answer my questions.
Right.
Or maybe my questions were not so specific that they couldn't, answer them either.
Right.
So in some cases, but again, it depends on the age bracket of your child. I mean, if you've got a 17-year-old that's in college and something happens, I mean, that could be a little different than an 18-year-old.
Right. Yeah, I think things have gotten stricter now, and it really depends on I'm not saying it depends on the doctor, but I think if you had a family doctor you've always dealt with and you asked about your child, they'd probably give you the information just because they know the family. But I think if they're out of state and it's something different, that you really should get it just in case. In some practices, if your child is 13, they want to give them their own login to their portal, and they don't want to give you access unless your child gives you access, which is very bizarre to me, but.
Yeah, that's another whole issue to talk about legally as far
Yeah.
as a child. So in Massachusetts, in the statutes, what is the definition in terms of age bracket for a child?
Well, of course, it's still they're 18, and then they're considered emancipated. Well, I don't really want to say emancipated because the definition really changes if you're going through a divorce or if and if they're in college, it kind of all changes, but it's really until they're 18.
Just generally speaking.
Just generally speaking, yes.
I mean, there's specific circumstances under which there may be adjustments. with
Right,
regard to that.
exactly,
And it
right.
depends on the judge if there's something else that's going on.
Right, yeah.
Right, so, I mean, I understand that part. I'm hoping that people that are listening, we're not confusing you in any way. But there are a lot of discussions. I'm not going to go into details in terms of what your opinion might be on any of this. But there is a lot of discussion nationwide as far as, we will say, those that are under 18, making their own decisions, or schools making medical decisions, or doctors making medical decisions without parental consent. When you have those decisions being made and the parent is not consenting, who pays the bill? Because there should be, let me let you answer that part.
I think they still try to go through the insurance, if your parent isn't consenting, whatever your insurance is. Because every form you fill out for school, you always have to give them your insurance ID and all that stuff. And then, I think either way, if it was a medical doctor, go through insurance. But I don't think kids should be making their own medical decisions when they're at a young age. I mean, I don't think they're mature enough or have enough knowledge to make decisions at a younger age.
Well, they don't know the ramifications. They don't know all of the cause and effect either.
Well, there's also, don't tell my mother. And once you're 18, the hospital's is definitely going to respect
Well, I think the
that.
key piece is 18, but we do have, I don't know what's going on in
And
Massachusetts.
so far as insurance is concerned, one of my friends works for the billing department at a hospital. And if there's an optional insurance, the hospital will choose whichever one will pay them the most money.
So I guess it would be a situation where both parents have insurance, which is rare, but.
No, usually you go with the best insurance of whoever's employed.
Yeah,
If-
exactly.
If you can.
Right, and you tend to have one, but.
Right. And I haven't heard of anybody having two,
And there are also
unless
parents
they're
that
divorced.
legally kick the kid out of the house so the kid can get mass health.
Where's the child in quotes, go to live?
The address upstairs.
Have you heard of that?
No, but I haven't heard of that happening specifically, but I guess I could believe that could possibly happen.
Yeah, if you kick the kid out, where do you live? Well, I live by myself.
Yeah, but they have to prove that.
So I live at 26A Highland Street.
Yeah, but there's got to be a 26A, not my bedroom upstairs. It's got to be different.
They'd have to have a separate address, yes.
Or you'd have to be in an
So
apartment.
I use Evelyn's address out in Chesford. I rent a
arbitrarily.
room at Evelyn's. They're not going to send
Couldn't
Evelyn a letter and ask
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
is McDonough out there? They're not going to do that.
I think it's, there
People
are,
are smart, and the thing, if they can find a way to have the government pay for
loopholes.
it, they're going to do it. Mass health is the gold cup when it comes to health. Free
The other-
dental, free eyeglasses, free everything.
the other piece with Mass Health that I
I don't
have,
have mass health, but a lot of people do.
and it's not just in this state, you make under a certain amount of money, and then you can access the health care of the state.
Right, and I think if you have private health insurance and they'll give you the option of adding your child to Mass Health.
And then there's a
When they're
deadline,
born,
yeah.
right. Because when they're born, they give you that option. Like,
Trying to think of the other questions I
Yeah.
have on this. If anybody out there is still having children, just make sure that you get your baby, or even if you're adopting, make sure that you have things lined up sooner than later with your health insurance, because sometimes there's deadlines to make those applications on the health insurances. But
Right.
I find some of that very, very interesting as far as, attachments that the state can have. But making the decisions, there were lawsuits in other states. I don't know of any currently in Massachusetts, you may know, because I'm not following it 100%, where parents are not suing, but have lawsuits maybe against the different school systems because the teachers or the health professionals in the system have taken it upon themselves to make decisions for the children. They
Right.
don't want their parents to know.
Coming from the audience, I hired an attorney, 2011, with my dad, when he went into a nursing home. Set up an annuity and mass health application. Mass health at the time did not allow life insurance policy over $10,000. He had to surrender Dad's policy to have it went under $10,000. Surrendering life insurance is taxable under federal income tax regulations. Attorney charged $8,500, and that's like 15 years ago. So, and Dad died before the house was sold. Thank you for your comment.
I find everybody has a different story to tell with regard to their finances.
Right.
We have people who will come in, I'm sure every undertaker does, that family comes in and they have a $25,000 life insurance policy, and they want a $25,000 funeral right this instant, so they don't have to get rid of the policy.
Can you spend it down like that?
Yep.
Yes. But the thing is, you can also, that's also a way to spin down your assets too.
Well, that's one of the things that they advise you to do, is
Yes.
to prepay your
To
funeral
prepay
expenses.
it, yes.
But one of the other things that we found is it just isn't, when you say funeral expenses, you're thinking like John, funeral home.
Oh,
whatever
no, you
happens
can
there.
add money for flowers, the
Yeah.
get-together afterwards, the gravestone. I mean, you can really beef it out there if you have to.
Yes, but you've got to prepay all of that.
If it's your life insurance policy, as long as the value of the funeral contract exceeds the life insurance policy payout, you can keep the policy.
Right, so the life insurance policy would come in after the fact as a way to use it. But the thing is, if you were planning to go to a nursing home, that's another way that they advise you to buy down your assets. Spend
Right.
down, not buy down, spend down your assets.
Right, but when we're thinking funeral, what we found, or what I found, is we went to the funeral home, because my mother's in a different, no, she's not up here with John. She's in a different community, and a different cemetery, very much so. Then we found out that the funeral home does not handle the cost for the cemetery. You have to go to the cemetery.
Yes.
Now you pay separately there. Then they do not allow in that area monuments. They have their own flat plaques. You have to buy from them. So for anybody out there listening, make sure that you understand all the ins and outs and all the different things that you have to do way before you have to do it, so that you're not caught short on your own finances being
But if that's where your dad wants to go, you're stuck with that. We go to cemeteries all over New England, and it's not uncommon that a lot of the cemeteries have their own grave markers. They have their own monuments, and they will not do business with anybody else.
No, I know that because I asked.
Right.
Because I know somebody that makes the monuments that's in the city of Quincy that
Yep.
made everything for the whole family over decades and decades.
Yep.
And so this is not in Quincy. This is Blue Hill Cemetery. And in that area, there are no monuments. There's monuments in
Well,
other
Blue Hills
areas.
takes wonderful care of the property. They have their rules and
I'm not
regulations.
being critical. I'm only adding one more
I'm not being
piece.
critical either, I'm just.
But I find it interesting.
Right, there was a time in Lowell too, they wouldn't allow big monuments. It had to be the
Flat ones.
flat ones, yeah.
Sometimes it depends on the section of the cemetery.
It does, because I remember when my grandparents passed, they wouldn't allow monuments. It had to be the stones that were like,
Well, now.
Which then you have to-
The Catholic cemeteries are now ruled by the Catholic Cemetery Association. So if you have the money, you can do anything you want. If you have, I have one client wants to get rid of their flat gravestone. They want to put a stand-up stone, which is called a monument. And cemetery says you can't do it because there's not enough room on their grave to do what they want to do. And they're having a big argument with them. And I says, hey, look it. You can't be Fred Flintstone. Just be cool, be polite, be nice. If you're asking them to bend a rule, you can't do it like Jackie Gleason did. You got to be nice.
So most of my mother's family is buried at Mount Wollaston in Quincy.
Yep.
My uncle was the most recent. They had, obviously they have monuments. Some of the markers for family members, and there's quite a few people there, are flat, and some of them are slightly raised of where they are. So you may have granite like this, or you
Okay.
have something
Like,
that,
yeah.
it's flat. And there is a monument that's there, because it's been there, I mean, I'm gonna be 74, long as I can remember, because my grandfather died in 1922, so it's been there since at least 1922. And when we went to get the monument for my uncle, that was an interesting feat because my mother wanted it to match, and pink and red granite are not necessarily easy to get. But somewhere along the line, they found something, so, and that was the raised ones.
Okay.
But my Wollaston is mixed. I even have a great-grandfather that's buried there, and
wow.
great-great something or others. I mean, we're going back into the 1800s. And those are raised monuments, but there wasn't anything flat. So it's different areas,
It
different
is,
things.
yeah.
You know, Chelmsford's interesting too, because they're going to put up mausoleums, but they're only like 4 feet high. I think of a mausoleum.
I know, I think of it as something really,
Elaborate, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a room, or like a shed that's
Right.
in concrete with pillars, because
Yeah.
that's what's at Mount Wollaston.
right.
And when they showed it, basically, it's just like 2 tubes that you have,
Well,
and it's encased.
I
in
believe
granite.
Chelmsford put mausoleums for cremations.
No, they have mausoleums, they now have mausoleums if you want to have, we just approved it at town meeting.
Okay, because the mausoleums that we go to, they're 30 feet high.
They're not in Chelmsford. When you go to Mount Auburn in Cambridge, there's a wide range of everything.
So right now, if you want to have above ground in a mausoleum, there's 2 places. There's a place in Salem, New Hampshire, not my cup of tea, and there's St. Mary's Cemetery in Lawrence. Fabulous facility they have there, and if I have a client, I'll give them the 2 options. And I don't like the attitude of the Salem place, but St. Mary's Cemetery in Lawrence is fantastic.
Yeah, you deal with mostly the stuff up here. Have you buried people at Mount Auburn?
Yeah,
In Cambridge? Glenn's mother's there. She's in,
Mount Auburn's a lot like the Lowell Cemetery. It's like a sister cemetery to the Lowell Cemetery. Beautiful, same design.
and they have tours of Mount Auburn because it's the horticulture.
So Sandra, we're running out of time here. Anything you want to make sure we talk about all the farms you wanted to talk about it?
No, if anybody has any questions in regards to the forms or what they need to do before their child goes to college, you can give me a call. My number's on the screen. Is it?
I'll put it up there now.
Okay, 978-804-7959. I guess one thing I could touch upon quickly is there are certain exceptions in regards to the Mass Health lien. And one of them is if you have a child taking care of you and living with you prior to you going into.
978, what's the rest?
804-7959.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I know that we've dealt with an awful lot of stuff, but Mass Health was only like with my uncle. He
Yeah.
spent down all his assets. My mother found a lawyer, and then it was the legal secretary that did
Yeah.
a lot of the work and brought everything in. But if there's PDFs and there's all kinds of things that can, today electronically, couldn't do it then, that will make it easier, then people need to know that. And there's a lot of things, and the bank is required to give you all of that information?
Yes,
If you don't
they
have
are.
it?
Yes.
Now, does that go with all financial institutions for Mass Health? That
They
they're
should.
required to give you 5-year lookbacks on all of their,
Yes, they should be required to give it to you. I mean, if they give you pushback, you can insist.
but usually if you've sold off an asset and it's in the bank account, I mean, the paperwork should be relatively simple.
It should, yes, but you can, just another point, so you could set up a trust and then sell an asset and put the proceeds in the trust if you want to protect it that way. Just
Right.
an idea.
Right. But, I mean, I think there's a lot, but I think that the bottom line is that if anybody is considering anything, that you should contact a legal professional.
Yes.
To do things, you know.
Because you
Sandra's
are
available.
working on sticky paper, there's no doubt about it. Okay, tomorrow, City Life, we got Cliff Green's gonna be the host, Lowell School Committee's Eileen Del Rossi, she'll be here. David Prestipino, he's gonna be here, and Lowell Sun's Melanie Gilbert, she's gonna be here. So that's tomorrow, City Life. Time is short, Ev. Thanks.
Okay, so, thank you very much.
Thank you,
I'm
Evelyn.
hoping that, well, we have a couple of minutes. I'm hoping that people learned something about this. I think I might send the link to my sister so that she can listen to it too and say, you shouldn't have said this, or asked that question, you know, but you never know how that will work. You know, we get along quite well. Anyway, I wish you well, and with your 2 teenagers. I remember those days. Thank you so much for coming in, and you gave an awful lot of free advice this morning. So I hope that it will definitely benefit you in the long run with regard to that. If we have some other legal questions, I'm hoping that John will ask you to come back. Or if you find that there's something that's coming up, now you're not dealing in immigration, we're not going to
60 seconds.
go down that path. But if you're dealing with any particular legal issue, there's very specific lawyers that are out there that will help you in those particular areas. So we'll be here, I'm assuming we'll be here next week, not you, but I will be here, Sam will be here next week, and we hope everybody stays safe. And again, be careful about watching all that air quality that's out there and whatever the weather might be. And thanks to John for being in the first hour and all of the odds and ends of conversation we had for the Dawn Patrol this morning. So thanks very much, everybody, and you stay safe, and watch out for those crazy drivers on 495 and 95.
Sandra, thanks for getting up extra early.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Evelyn. It was great to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, too.
It's our new sidewalk. Crosswalk.